I'm Dana Han-Klein here with Steve Lemme, Jay Chandrasekhar, Erik Stolhanske, and Kevin Heffernan for Super Troopers 2.
There's all beer out here?
There's beer, there's pancakes, there's syrup. It's a whole beer for breakfast scenario happening. Thanks, guys, for being here.
Thank you.
Thank
for
you.
having us.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Hi, San Francisco.
Can we start drinking it right now, or
Yes,
what?
you can. Please do. There's
Chug
a lot
the cola,
of choices.
Queen.
You got pancakes, you got
syrup.
cola.
Yeah.
Chug the cola.
There's
Is that a
Yes.
liter of cola or 2 liters
It's
of cola?
2 liters of cola.
It's very generic looking, though, you
the
guys.
cake.
It turns out it's very hard to find just 1 liter of cola in California.
Really? Okay,
Yeah.
there you go. Cola.
Chug it.
Please don't, for your own sake.
I'll have some beer, though. Can I do that?
Yeah, please. Thanks to Harmonic for our beer.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks to an
We
unknown
met earlier.
brand for. I like that you've already got that. Do you want the aviators too?
I told them I'd wait
Okay.
Okay.
I'll go all
to
the way.
congratulate them
We're
until I
going.
tasted it, though.
Oh,
How is it? How is it?
I like it.
It's like heaven. Very good.
Harmonious?
Very good, yeah. Great.
awesome. So, gentlemen,
Yes.
why was the time meow? And did you ever think that you would be haunted by cat phrases for 17 years?
I know, right? That's weird. We get haunted by a lot of stuff. People yell shit at us all the time when we're walking down the street.
Yeah, that seems. You kind of did it to yourselves.
I know it, right? So we can't blame anybody.
You get
Just
Farmer's
ourselves.
number 1 a lot.
Favre's number 1. You guys like Mexico. This guy wants mustache rides all the time. You know what I mean? It just happens.
What's that? Soter has a different story of the meow invention than I do. What's his story? Do you remember?
We were in a hotel room in Santa Monica, and we were talking about if a person's tongue. He's got a magical wizard. I've got a magical clown.
Right.
And who would bring up a volunteer on stage, and he would turn their tongue into a little cat tongue. And then from then on, all they could say instead of the word now was meow. And then while we were talking about that and laughing about that late at night, we thought it might be a fun game for the cops to play in Super Troopers 2.
That's the way it works, I guess, right?
Yeah.
He also tells a shh story. We were trying to shush each other, trying to get the manager to call and tell us to stop shushing so loudly.
So it was like, shh, as loud as you could.
And we were all going shh as loud as we could, hoping that we would get a noise complaint to
For
tell us to
shushing.
stop shushing.
Got it. Got it.
Irony is a thing for you guys, then. Is what
There you
you're
go.
saying. It's
There you
like
go.
the core of. So what is your approach to balancing sort of paying homage to the Super Troopers that we all know and love, and the new one that we're excited to see on April 20th?
It's tricky. It's tricky because people want to see things that remind them of the first movie, but then you don't want people to be like, oh, they just did all the same jokes again.
Yeah.
You know? So I think we have a nice little balance. We put new spins on old jokes is what we did in this movie.
It was the biggest conversation we had was about how many jokes from the first movie to refer to. And the fans are funny because they'd be like, okay, you got to bring back the stoners, and you have to bring back the local cops, and you have to do a lot of pullovers, and you got to bring back Jim Gaffigan, and you got to do the meow game again, but like don't fucking make the same movie, okay?
And you're like, what is there left to?
Yeah, so...
Well, so that is one of the things. So you did involve the fans in making this, right? You guys raised what, $4.6 million
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
Indigo?
Yeah, it was
That's
exciting.
very impressive. That's
Crowdfunding, yeah, it's amazing.
But one of my questions is, like, given the landscape of film distribution, it's sort of evolved since the first one came out, right? Like, streaming is now a thing. You could go straight to Netflix. You could go straight to Amazon. Were you always, like, theatrical or bust?
Well, it kind of hurt us in a way, in the sense that the first movie had a pretty good theatrical run, but it made all of its money on DVD. Like, it made a big splash. Most of you guys probably saw it on DVD. It was a big splash on DVD, and now that market doesn't exist anymore, right? Nobody buys DVDs anymore. So the studio, when they were deciding to make this movie again, it was an issue in their mind about where are we going to make our money. Where you guys made the money doesn't exist anymore. So it became a big issue for us about streaming.
Nobody buys DVDs thanks to the people up here in Northern California.
That's true.
You're welcome.
That's true.
Disruptive.
That's true.
We're innovators.
Thanks, guys. Thanks.
So now they have to figure out how to monetize it and get the movie out there, and we did a crowdfunding thing because they were unsure. They were unsure if the fan base was still there, and so we said, let's go right to the fans. And it was a very humbling thing, but they came out in droves. So
It could have backfired, right? I mean,
Yeah.
if nobody contributed, Fox would have been like, nobody wants to see your movie. And we would have never made it.
Would you have, though?
No, I mean, that was the problem is that
Or no way to.
Fox Searchlight owned the movie.
Right.
and they told us in no uncertain terms that they would never let anybody else make the movie, and so.
Because they don't want to look bad.
Did you ever think in your lives you'd have to be having conversations about like what a major movie studio thought about your content?
Oh yeah. I mean, that's
That's
did?
the dream.
Well, no, I'm saying she's right. It's a weird.
So then
thing.
you'd say, no, I
No,
never
not
thought
really. Yeah, good point.
Way to direct him. What's an average day like in the writers' room for you guys when you're sort of writing? Because it's such a collaborative group, right?
There's a lot of phases, like the first part is literally the general idea.
Okay, then I'm
A lot of that.
waiting to get to do that.
A lot of that.
Yeah. Well, so speaking of that, so
A
it's
lot
like
of shushing.
Yeah. What's your Foley process like?
it's this. It's like when we were making Beer Fest, we played a lot of drinking games and we wrote off all the beer that we bought from the store on our taxes.
Smart men. Don't let the IRS see this.
Yeah. So no, but like with Beer Fest, the idea was thrown out. We had just gotten scathing reviews for Club Dread, and I remember that Kevin, like they would call us sophomoric and childish, and he was like, "You want to do something sophomoric? We should make a movie called Beer Fest." And we laughed about it, and then we laughed some more, and then we started looking at each other. We're like, "Fuck, that's a good idea for a movie." and that first session was just sitting around. I mean, we were licking our wounds from getting killed by the Passion of the Christ. That's what Club Dread opened up against.
I just find that such a bizarre circumstance.
It was
two polar opposite films.
Counter programming.
Crazy, yeah.
That's the whole point.
But you'd walk in, like, we'd walk into the theaters like we do on opening day, and there were people who had bought out entire screenings of The Passion of the Christ, religious groups, and they were just handing out free tickets to the stone dudes in the baseball hats that were coming in to see Club Dread, who happily took the tickets. Anyway,
Yeah.
we had gotten killed. We were licking our wounds. The Beer Fest idea came up, and we started riffing on it, and it was just like, okay, well, it should be these guys who create a competing Oktoberfest in America because they kicked out of Oktoberfest. And we were like, well, how would they make it better than Oktoberfest? Oh, they would allow underage drinking. So they're going to have it on an Indian reservation so they can have kids under 18 come in and participate. And then we were like, well, that's budget-wise. Forget the irresponsibility. Budget-wise, that's just too big in scope. Let's do it super underground like Bloodsport, the Van Damme movie. And, it's that kind of thing.
Yeah. But we've been together a long time. We went to college together. So our writing room is very kind of like, I don't know, we have a shorthand that we're able to,
Well, we spend a lot of time together not making movies. Like, we used to spend a lot of time in bars, cracking jokes, whatever, and we would remember certain jokes and then try to stick them into movies. Like, even Beer Fest came about because we were on the Super Troopers Australian tour, and nobody in Australia knew us. So they were putting us in these cop uniforms, and they were parading us around this former penal colony. And, they took us to a tire show, and we're wearing these cop uniforms on
What
a
is
Sunday.
a tire show?
There were people there.
But do they
many.
show
It's like in the
tires?
parking
Is that
lot
it?
of a tire store,
Yeah.
and,
And
they would be
radio,
showing
the
off their new
radio.
tires.
Of course.
The
And
new
us.
line.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Okay,
new line of
cool.
time.
They
Like
took
new
us to
trends,
like a
new-
mall in the middle of the afternoon, and a guy said, "Ladies and children, welcome the Super Troopers." And we'd walk over there, and we're cops, and everyone's like, "Who are these cops?" And finally, they took us to a beer garden. And we, when we went in, and it was the middle of the afternoon, and the place was, Australians really do drink a lot.
Sure.
And
They like their
the
beer.
place was, they were just really, it was packed and hammered, and everyone was hammered, and our publicist is like, go up on stage and tell everybody to see the movie. And we're like, oh, God, okay. So we're walking up there, we're dressed like cops, right? We get on stage, and they hand us a mic. Some guy's like, ladies and gentlemen, the Super Troopers from America. And everyone's like, fuck you, copper, right? And we're like, hey, go see our movie, Super Troopers. And everyone's talking. And then this guy grabs the mic and goes, Crocodile Dundee sucks koala dick. And the place went crazy. And
I was a little drunk.
It's fine.
And then we challenged the top 5 guys in the place to a line chug, and they came up on stage, and we were really smoking them until Paul Soter, who's not here, started drinking. He's slow.
That's why he's not
and
here.
we barely lost, and then we challenged him to like an arm wrestling contest, and we won most of those. And then he again took the mic and said, "Who was it this time?"
I think I said Russell Crowe is a fucking dick or something like that.
Yeah. And then the place really people were throwing stuff at us. And we had to be sort of hustled out the back, and we jumped into our van, and our driver
So they
drove
cared
away.
about Russell Crowe though?
Oh, yeah.
Like, they were
just didn't
defensive
like
of
us
Russell
saying
Crowe.
anything bad
Okay,
about
okay.
them.
You don't want to fuck with Russell
And-
Crowe over there.
Apparently.
Once
Gladiator's the best.
when we were driving away, somebody said, that could be a good movie. And then we made Club Dread, and then after that, someone's like, remember that Australian thing? And then that's how we, started down that road.
Notice we just told two totally different stories about the inception of Beer Fest. See,
Well, you left all the preamble out.
Sure,
You're just
sure.
like, and then
That's
we
the-
thought about Beer Fest.
that's the preamble. Now I won't even look at him. Now we're arguing now.
Thus effectively giving us a very clear picture, probably, what your writing room is like.
Well, no,
Very
but then
clear.
it can be more organized too. Then it's like once you have the idea and you've ripped. Fuck you. Then you start to get the outline together, and then everybody takes a section, 15 pages. You get ideally a 75-page first draft, and then we do the whole notes, and then each guy does their section again, and then around the third draft, one point person gets assigned to the project, and we call that person the bitch. And their
Classic.
job is to make it all uniform, and they're the point person for the next 30 drafts. I think like Super Troopers 2 was 35 drafts. Beer Fest was 30 drafts, so we put it through the process.
Did your approach to Super Troopers 1 change at all? Or for Super Troopers 2 change from your approach to Super Troopers 1? Or was it pretty much the same old, same old?
It's a little different just because this was the first time we ever wrote a sequel to something, right? So the interesting thing is, a lot of time when you're writing a script, you're cracking the characters and trying to figure out who they are and how they interact with each other. At this point, we knew. Like, we know what my character says or his character or how we interact with each other, so you can kind of leapfrog that part and just kind of focus on the jokey stuff, which I think is kind of cool. Like, we'd never done that before where you already knew the voices of the characters, So that was what's fun about it, I think.
We also knew, when we wrote the first one, we didn't really know about film structure. We were kind of like, we'd heard about it.
This might be a thing.
Yeah.
And we kind of eventually wrote a movie that was in the right structure. But on this one, we just said, let's just write it in the right structure. And it saved a lot of time. It really did.
The learning curve was, less.
Yeah.
Who would you say is most like their on-screen character?
Farva.
What?
That's true.
That's bullshit.
Like, all he has to do to become Farva right now is to stick a piece of gum in that mouth, and he will be in character.
It's
Does
true.
anyone
Once
have
you go
gum?
mustache, haircut, and gum, then boom, you're in character.
He's in, yeah.
But even
that
like
easy.
persona-wise?
No, this is bullshit.
Yes.
I'm a nice and likable person, guys.
Yeah. I don't know if you've noticed, like his characters are just Kevin Heffernan. Like Landfill and Landfill 1 and 2 are
And
both.
Gil. Yeah, Gil.
Landfill 2 is probably closer to Kevin Heffernan.
But Kevin, my favorite thing about you is that you're a lawyer, right?
Yeah.
You are You're licensed to practice
I
law.
am.
You
I
passed
have
the
a-
bar.
I have a
States.
in 2 states, yeah. I have a law degree.
Farva's
and,
going to be all of our boss, is what
I know.
really-
Yeah. He's not a great lawyer, though.
That's why I don't do it.
Yeah. The first deal we ever got offered, we sold a TV show to a big network. And anyway, the quick version is we got fucking screwed out of a lot of money. And we were all like, what the fuck, dude? There was a loophole right there in the contract.
I don't get extra pay for doing that shit, man.
See?
Come on.
Farva. That's Farva right
That's
there.
Farva, see? Kevin's Farva.
Who would you say is least like their character?
There's a little bit of a
There
character
is,
in
yeah.
everyone. I mean, it's like Jay was kind of funny because he was directing, and when you're directing and acting at the same time, there's a lot of things in your head, and you're trying to maintain things, and things make you angry or whatever it is. And we always thought it was funny that he had kind of a scowly look a lot of the times on camera because he was thinking about directing things, And so that's why we went into our next movie, Club Dread. We decided we would make him a poncy British Rastafarian, and so that he wouldn't be able to scowl when he was acting. He had to be a poncy. He had to say, angry director things, and then say stuff in a stupid British voice.
I think Super Trooper is probably the closest to all of us being a little bit close to that character.
Yeah.
Like, he always loved Lando Calrissian from the Star Wars trilogy, so he wanted to be Lando. That's kind of Thorny's based on Lando Calrissian.
I like that you would just say that Lando Calrissian is from the Star Wars trilogy, as
Yeah.
if this group of people would not know that.
Do you guys know what Star Wars is?
You've heard of the
It's a
Star Wars, right?
movie series? Yeah.
It was a space program.
I would say
that
it's Empire Strikes Back,
yeah, a space defense program.
Sure.
Well, actually, Jay, there is one big difference between you and all the other guys of Broken Lizard.
Oh, I thought you meant me and Lando.
No different.
Very
Both
little
smooth
difference.
as ice.
Very little
Well, no, I mean you are the director for this one at least. You're also your directing credits now exceed your acting credits. Do you consider yourself more of a director now, or is it still sort of like a mix, or just sort of film is film, or TV is TV?
Yeah, I kind of look at it more like that. I think, the more jobs you know how to do, the more chances you have of surviving in this business. And so I just kind of, I try to do the jobs that make sense for me. But if it's, a lot of it ends up being directing. But I certainly enjoy. I mean, I acted in the latest Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and I'm the coach in Speechless, and I'm in these films.
I think in Brooklyn Nine-Nine, did you not play yourself?
I played myself. I play. There's a cult. It's like a cult that it's a pyramid scheme, and they sell, protein something, and I'm the celebrity who's caught in the cult.
Is this a plea for help? Blink twice if you need.
That's true to life, right?
And then switching gears, Eric, what is the most challenging P90X exercise?
Bio.
Bio?
Plyometrics.
Could you
No
tell
one
us?
knows what you hear what it is.
Yeah,
Nobody
apparently.
in this
We do
room
not
knows what
exercise
you're
here.
even
But
talking about.
could you tell
I
us?
know. You guys know what P90X is, right?
No,
work out.
Look at that. That was such a disappointed yeah.
As much as I do. You guys do it, right?
What do you mean exercise?
Eric's in the P90X video.
I'm a peg leg. I don't know if you
guys.
guys know or not, but I have a fake leg.
He does.
Yeah, he's not kidding.
I'm not
No,
kidding.
he really doesn't have it.
So I did this test group actually to get in shape for Club Dread. There was this thing at the gym that said, "Come try, be the hardest." At the time there was no this idea of extreme fitness didn't exist. It was just Richard Simmons, and Jane Fonda, and then this wave was happening in this extreme fitness thing. And there's this company called Beachbody putting together this video to try to push people past their limits. This is before CrossFit. This is 10, 15 years ago. So I went and I did this test group, and I was trying to get in shape for Club Dread, basically for free. It was basically like a free trainer to get in shape because we were going to have to go to Mexico and take our clothes off. So
That's how you describe Club Dread?
Had to.
yeah,
Had
we were
to
in
go.
this porno movie we were doing in Mexico.
Well, to be fair, we
you were in Speedo the whole time.
yeah, we went right from the Super Troopers promotional tour, which was 6 weeks here in the States, doing what we're doing right now, and then this trip to Australia, and each of us gained 25, 30 pounds from just because the studio would send us to do a free screening, and then we'd have a party afterwards where we would just chug beer. So we all gained a lot of weight.
We all came home with big breasts.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were very out of shape.
Yeah, and so we had to get Club Dread was greenlit, so we had to get into shape for it immediately.
Yeah, so I did this test group thing, and halfway through, the guy said, "Hold a second, are you doing this test group with one leg?" And I was like, "Yeah, I got a fake leg." And he's like, "Wow, I had no fucking clue." So then we finished it, and he said, "Would you be in the videos?" And I never really wanted to do it because I never wanted to get pigeonholed as being a guy with a fake leg.
Yeah, like Jane Fonda.
right? Does she have a fake leg?
No, but she's pigeonholed.
We could start that rumor right now. Right now.
I'm so impressed. But then he's like, "Yeah, I don't know. I thought maybe it'd be a way to help motivate people, help them."
I'm still amazed that you went up to a cork board and looked at the offer and oh, I'll do that.
Oh, right. Yeah, just a little flyer
The
on the
gym.
wall. I was
Want to
walking.
get in shape at the gym?
Yeah, it's weird. At the gym, they were like.
Jim
saying,
is in quotes.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But now, everything is extreme home fitness. There's CrossFit everywhere, and it's pretty common these days. But yeah,
That's very impressive.
I did the test group over P90X.
Man, you're a pioneer.
I just put everyone to sleep. Everyone in this room just got bored out of their minds.
Well, then, and speaking of the other endeavors you guys do, Steve and Kevin, you guys have a podcast together.
Yeah.
Yeah, chewing it with Kevin and Steve.
Yeah, and you have an ongoing I get competitive about the Oscars,
Oh boy.
but you guys take it to next level, where
Yeah.
the winner gets to pee on the loser.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you just did that.
Yeah, we did.
This is our 4th year of doing it.
Yeah, we did.
I'm 3-1, guys.
Oh.
You have to see more movies. You should see more movies.
Listen, the last 3 years it's been separated by one thing, one category.
Yeah.
You guys don't want in on this bet?
Well, for years we it was a bet that had been thrown around for all kinds of things. I'm gonna piss on you, I'm gonna piss on you, I'm gonna piss on you, and then we never really followed through on it.
I bet that Michael Jordan and the Bulls would beat the Knicks, and
In 1993.
we got so angry at each other that I'm like, winner gets to pee on the other guy's leg from the knee down. And I won that.
It's very specific.
I won that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then I never called it in. So the next year we doubled or nothing. I
Right.
won that again.
Right.
But I never called it in because who the fuck would actually do that?
Right.
Yeah.
But now we do it. That's our Oscar bet.
Yeah.
And we've done it 4 years in a row
But
now.
it keeps getting worse because last year I won, and I drank liquids all morning long and held it in, and I think I peed on you for at least 90 seconds.
It was a long time.
maybe more than 2 minutes.
P90X, bro.
Yeah. And then, but then he won, and I knew he was going to get back at me, and
Yeah.
he did.
But is it fair to say you're all men of your word?
Yeah.
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 Yeah,
You, like
come on.
you know.
No welching.
Right.
No welching.
Well, if you really want to do that, then you owe me 2 legs.
I guess so, but I mean, what's the statute of
And
limitations?
I'm going to eat a lot of beets and a lot of
lawyer.
asparagus.
You're the lawyer. So then this leads to the question. There were a lot of Indiegogo funder kind of, prizes, and
Yeah.
one of them was the indecent proposal,
Sure.
Yeah.
which was
25 million.
Yeah,
Oh,
24
$24
million
bucks,
909. Like, if someone had actually purchased that, the prize was, or the reward.
We would sire an offspring for somebody.
Yes.
I thought maybe someone in Silicon Valley might have stepped up for that
I know
one.
you guys have
Right.
it.
But if you'd say $25 million, we father your child. But you don't know who's
So
you're
it doesn't
using.
specify that though. You guys have to be more
Well,
specific
but
about.
if the baby comes out like Indian, then that's a different. If it's fat baby, short
One-legged
baby,
baby.
then you
Short
know who
baby,
the
yeah.
father is.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you didn't know.
One-legged baby.
Baby, yeah.
One-legged baby.
But we also thought, like,
Biometrics, baby.
what if you shake it
I was
up
gonna say, did you?
and it
was
comes
like
out
the
like
cocktail?
short,
Yeah,
fat,
like
brown
salad
with one
spinner.
leg?
Yeah, we're gonna put a salad spinner.
With a little piece of everybody.
Yeah.
That'd be good too. But nobody.
Can you
nobody
imagine
went
your
for it.
torso
Surprised.
on his lower body?
Sure, it'd be my torso on one leg.
On one leg.
Brown
and short.
And short.
Yeah.
With your mustache.
With a sweet mustache.
Yeah.
Big mustache.
Yeah.
And Soter has gigantic calves, so to have a gigantic.
So
One-
one leg
one
with a
calf.
One
gigantic
gigantic
calf.
calf,
Okay.
yeah.
Weird.
Are you like a little disappointed that no one took
Kind
you
of. I
guys
mean,
up on it?
I was a little worried. I really was. I didn't want to have to do that.
How would you decide? Was it going to be cocktail, or were you just guys like Russian roulette?
Salad
Like,
spinner.
I'm sure for that amount of money, they could have chosen who they wanted.
okay. It didn't stipulate, so
No, it
you know,
didn't,
yeah.
you didn't have a good lawyer look over.
Yeah, no, clearly.
Yeah. It was poorly thought out.
Have people started to collect on like the more absurd funding prizes?
Well, I mean, I know we sold a police car from the movie. That sold on the first day.
Yeah, 35 grand, I think it was.
35,000
Somebody
bucks.
bought the police car. Pretty good.
Yeah.
Doesn't work. But,
Did they know that
What do you
before they
mean?
bought it?
Does it? I thought we had to put it on a truck to send it to him.
Yeah, that's how you move cars.
Well,
Save some mileage.
You could also
drive it.
You could also move a car by driving it.
Yeah,
You
you
can
can
also
fake
drive
car.
it.
You can put miles on it.
No, we had one prize, which was we would be the best men
I really
at
wanted
your
to-
wedding.
Did anyone take you up on that?
No, well, it was funny because
Scheduling.
Or
we got
bridesmaids, too.
close.
yeah, people like were doing like save the dates for us. They'd be like, hey, can you save this date? And actually, somebody started their own Indiegogo campaign to finance paying for us to come be their wedding party, but that never panned out. So nobody collected on that.
Will that be like a DVD extra? You can still open that bid and just
Sure.
You guys will show up at a wedding somewhere.
We would have for the money.
For the next one.
For the money, of course. Yeah.
We would have.
For Super Troopers 3, we'll do it.
There you go. What inspires you guys?
I think a lot of what we do is based on making each other laugh. You know what I mean? I think it was all like, if you can make the other guys laugh, then you're in pretty good shape, and the joke should be pretty funny. So I mean, I think that was always kind of like what our goal was.
It really is a matter of we get personal jokes, we write them down, and when we meet, we say, how can we get that joke into the movie? That's most of how we fill in the color and the detail of it. I mean, the structure is, every movie's kind of similar in a sense, but the details of it are what we do on our movies, not other people's movies. Mm-hmm. Obviously.
What frustrates you?
It's real. I mean, it was part of it.
That was a sigh.
Well, no, I mean, you have to.
I mean,
It's hard to get movies made these days, and that's a very frustrating thing. And it becomes harder and harder to get that momentum going. And that's part of why we did this crowdfunding thing. It was kind of a thing that got things jump started. But you spend about I think 85% of your time in the business we're in trying to make things as opposed to actually make things.
Probably more. Probably a
And
higher
that's the
percentage.
frustrating thing about it, I think.
well, most movies are superhero movies, right? So
Is this
These
not?
days.
Well, we were kind of kidding that, like, you know, if we were willing to put capes and tights on, if they would make Super Troopers 2 more easily, you know. So it's a little frustrating. But I mean, ultimately, you know, we're really in a pretty lucky spot. I mean, I think it's our 7th or 8th movie, and we're making it with our buddies. It's pretty good.
It's a good job.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
Very lucky.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's funny what Kevin is talking about. I mean, like,
Harmonic.
Get them.
we had a test screening of the rough cut of Super Troopers 2 last March in Orange County, and then the movie was finished over the summer, totally completed, and the studio picked 4/20, so like 10 months later to be the release date. In their defense, it's a great release date. Friday is 4/20, and they made that point to us. But it was,
That's the only point they made about it?
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, great.
all I really
Yeah.
needed,
No,
yeah.
agreed.
Yeah,
Sure.
But I mean, essentially, they're creating their own holiday weekend for us, and it's great. Everybody remembers the date, but like, you know, it's such a bummer because we really want people to see this movie, and it's like, oh fuck, are you kidding me? 2018, April of 2018, that's the
Yeah.
day.
And they have a good reason why it's so far
Yeah,
away.
God damn it. Okay, fine. But like, we've just been waiting and talking about it. It's been so long, and now finally, it's like, I mean, literally, this is the beginning of the tour.
Well, yesterday, right?
Yeah, yesterday in LA, we did our first screening, and now tonight is, you know, and it's for the backers. It's for the Indiegogo backers, these screenings. And it's fucking awesome. It feels so good to the first audience saw the final movie last night, and it's great. Like, the movies turned out great, and people really seem to be enjoying it. And it's, for us, it's like, I mean, this is when it gets really fun. I almost got emotional there.
Steve's going to cry.
Yeah,
Almost.
goosebumps.
Be all
Yeah, I
frustrated.
almost felt an emotion there.
I know.
We'll make fun of him later.
If they were to make a Broken Lizard biopic, who would you want playing you?
Billy D. Williams.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
And you.
Nice.
you-
I would have to go with Burt Reynolds.
Ryan Gosling.
Aaron Carter. Aaron Carter.
Field. You guys are probably a lot of people's like bacchanalian dream drinking buddies. Who are your like dream drinking buddies? Like, who's a celebrity who you'd be sort of awestruck by
Bill
having to
Murray.
brew with?
Bill Murray.
Sam Elliott.
What's your best Sam Elliott impression?
Well, I met Sam Elliott. I actually worked
Well,
with,
there's no fun in
Sam
that.
You've
Elliott.
had a drink with Sam Elliott.
I have.
So don't, you know.
I have. But I would want to do it again. He was so fucking fantastic, that guy.
And great mustache.
The best mustache.
Why don't you
impersonation?
tell him about that thing you said?
So
We put this line in Super Troopers 2. We
We
put
put
this
the line
moment in
in-
Super
Okay, you
Troopers
can
2.
tell.
I know, it's great. Go ahead.
yeah, so there was a movie like right when we were getting the money together for Super Troopers. George Clooney was actually the original executive producer of Super Troopers, which I don't think many people know about. And his assistant had said, "I want to make movies," and he said, "If you can find something for less than $5 million, I'll produce it for you." And this is a girl named Amy Cohen, who's an associate producer on the movie. Her name's still up there. So they were doing this movie called Failsafe, a live TV movie on CBS, and Sam Elliott was in it. And she got me the part basically as an extra, but it was me at this table between Sam Elliott and James Cromwell and Brian Dennehy, and then me. And I didn't say a fucking word. And those guys, like, they were just telling great stories. But Sam Elliott was such a badass. Like, he dipped every day on the set, and he would swallow his dip spit. That's how fucking tough he
How
is.
fucking tough that guy
That's how
is.
cool he is.
That's how fucking cool and tough he
Ate
is.
his cigarettes, too.
Okay, then his character smoked cigars in the thing, and so like for the days leading, because we rehearsed for 3 weeks, and the days leading up to it, he would smoke cigars, and they would be like, "You don't have to smoke the cigars for the rehearsal." He's like, "I like it," and he'd smoke the cigars, and then it came for the rap party. We did the thing, and at the rap party, he was still dipping, still swallowing the dip spit. He was smoking cigars at the rap party, and he was drinking scotch. Anyway, I went up to him, and we offered a role in Super Troopers to him, and I went up to him, and I was like, "Sam, it's been a pleasure to work with you." And he's like, "You were there every damn day." I was like, I know, but it was really a pleasure to work with you. And we just got the money to make this movie called Super Troopers. We're going to offer you a role in the movie. Would you be willing to look at it? He said, you just send me a good script. And then I said, by the way, we were hugging. I was looking into his eyes.
Through the whole exchange.
The whole exchange.
Okay, good.
And I said, how does it feel to be the toughest motherfucker on the planet? And he goes, you tell me. And that's when I
It's a
fainted.
mic drop
Yeah.
moment. Yeah. We're gonna take
You melted.
We're gonna take a few quick audience questions if anyone wants to line up over Jan. That's amazing.
It was amazing.
That's kind of baller.
Yeah.
It was pretty sweet.
I don't know if anyone thought that. Oh, he's already ready.
Oh,
Like,
you need to adjust this. Okay. Hi.
Hi.
What's up,
my
man?
mom purchased a place in Canada that completely unrelated to the primaries that happened last year. So I was curious, is there anything, given that the new movie is now set along the border of Canada and the United States, is there anything an American should know about Canada? And I'd like a response from whoever.
You know that Canadians claim to have burned down the White House in the War of 1812. Do you
that
know
sounds
that?
awesome.
True.
It's in their history
did
books.
Can we do that again?
Yeah.
Jay, people think you're from Canada, right?
They do think
and
I'm
you
from
wrote
Canada.
a whole book about it to correct that.
I did.
Okay, just checking. Yeah.
I did.
But I'm
There's
also
some
a
other
huge
details
Psych
in the
fan,
book, too.
So I appreciate the Bollywood episode so much.
Oh, Psych.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
But it's
you.
funny because when we, to talk about you fleeing to Canada, we,
Well,
know-
I'm Jewish and I've sort of seen the writing on the wall.
sure,
I'm not
sure, no,
doing
I
that.
know, I
mean,
get you. I mean, when we shot this movie, the bulk of it was before the election. So when we shot it, it was a fucking joke. It was like, oh, that guy's gonna be president? No fucking way. And we make a little joke about it in the movie.
Yeah.
And there's one little Trump joke in there, and it ended up being kind of, I don't know, on the ball ahead of its time a little
Apropos,
bit.
yeah.
Because we had no idea. So
I mean,
this is a pre-Trumpian movie, just so you know.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about like other than like duck gravy poutine, something that an American
Something
should
you
Well,
should
definitely
know.
go
we-
do in Canada.
Sure.
Do the way they're portrayed in Hollywood have always been like oh geez, oh yeah, okay, great. But we decided to do the hockey tough Canadian. Like so, our Canadians are kind of a little tougher, a little bruisier. That's not a word.
It is
Yes,
now.
it is. Yes, it is.
Less Dudley.
Yeah, just
Brewer.
own it. Just own
Now
it.
it is. Now it is.
Hey, I'm wondering, do y'all have any jokes that you would pitch in your writer's room that like 3 of the 4 of you would shoot down, or everyone else would shoot down, but one of you think would be a really good idea that you like bring back, or just in general wouldn't make it on?
Yeah, there are jokes that like someone will bring up in draft 2 meeting and 3 meeting, and they keep getting shut down. So they take a couple drafts off, then they bring it back up in draft 9 meeting. And eventually you're like, fine, we'll put the fucking joke in the movie, asshole. And then it works, and they're like, you're an idiot.
But sometimes,
So-
like Survivor, you have to form alliances.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you settle creative differences? Is it like a Thunderdome scenario, or is it just sort of like
gotta act
somebody
it
has
out
to wear
sometimes.
you down until
Leg
the joke
wrestling,
gets
right?
in?
Yeah,
Like
leg
wrestling.
wrestling. Like Indian leg
I
wrestling.
mean, eventually, we used to argue about jokes for hours. We would argue about which number was funnier, 17 or 14. And we'd go on that for like 20 minutes. You're like, we're wasting time. And so now we just realized you can just shoot 17 and shoot 14, and then we'll deal with it later. He and I end up in the editing room together, and we argue about jokes all the time. And I'm like, that joke's staying in the movie. He goes, fine, if you want to ruin the movie, let's put it in. And then we get in the screening room, and the joke works, and I'm like, fuck you, motherfucker.
Follow-up question, are there any jokes that like someone keeps pitching that will never make it in that you want to give to us now?
I mean, most of the jokes we do will never make it in. Some of them are so weird and dark that you can't put them in movies and still have a career.
But you never know. You never know. There's always a way. There's something in Super Troopers 2 that we have been wanting to do since Super Troopers 1. Okay, that's an obvious thing to say. But it's a joke that we talked about all the time and never thought we would be able to do it. And then we figured out how we could do it, and we did it. And I'm not going to tell you what it is, but maybe you'll figure it out.
That's maturity in filmmaking. That's really evolving into your auteur selves.
That's right.
Is anyone gonna chug that maple syrup or what?
You can chug that maple syrup.
Oh no, that's for a separate thing. We will
okay.
we will reveal what that
That's
is for.
a dangerous
How
thing to chug that maple
sick
syrup.
are you guys though of maple syrup? Like,
Well,
are
when
you
we
just
did
like,
that
please
scene,
no?
Jay did 2 full bottles and I did 3 full bottles.
That is proper Vermont maple syrup though.
But I think people don't
real stuff.
understand. I mean, it's like now people, a lot of people want to come chug syrup with you, but it's a diuretic. It's a.
But you guys were like,
diabetic.
I mean,
A diabetic.
they use it in cleanses.
Oh,
You know what
that
I'm
kind of
saying?
diuretic.
It's like a.
It's in the master cleanse for a reason.
you guys were Tide Pods before there were Tide Pods.
I guess so.
Like,
and,
don't eat it.
So we just did I think it was a couple weeks ago. We did a show in Vancouver.
It's the real stuff.
We did a live stand-up show. Yeah, Vancouver. And so
One person.
we had a guy in the audience who was in the Super Troopers outfit, and so we acknowledged him, and he held up a bottle of syrup, and he wanted to come up on stage and chug the maple syrup with us, and we're like, fuck you, there's no fucking way we're doing that shit. And he came up and he chugged the maple syrup, but everyone cheered, it was fantastic, and then we watched him, he went back to his seat, we watched him through the course of the show, through various stages of discomfort, and you could tell that he was having the experience that we've all had, right? Where it's just churning your insides, and you got to run to the bathroom. It's
lot of
not a
sugar.
good thing.
It's a
Don't
lot of
do
sugar.
it.
If you could use 3 adjectives to describe what a maple syrup chug does to you afterwards, what would it be?
You only need one.
If you could use 1 adjective, what would it be?
Explosive.
Stuff comes out of you that you don't remember putting in you, like a fossilized robin fetus. Like a fully formed leaf.
Do you like create things in there? Is that? Do we think like things
I
are?
must have eaten it.
Yeah,
I must have eaten it.
Yeah, all
There's
right.
600 grams of sugar in there.
That will.
Never again.
Yeah.
But you can do it if you want.
Yeah, more than welcome.
Gosh, that's amazing. And even in that note, I mean, you guys have, I'm sure you realize this, but you have literally inspired like at least a generation of college students to step up to the syrup challenge. My best friend actually did this in college down at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. Anybody else like legitimately, watching the time, legitimately try this in college or against any of their other friends?
You shouldn't do it.
Have you done it? I mean, you know, right?
So I did not do it. My
Yeah.
friend, he can eat a lot. He did it. What he said is basically his puke tastes like syrup for the next hour.
Sure.
essentially, But,
Sure.
Just an hour?
But he did.
Yeah. For
he
life.
He did win. So I was like, well, good.
Yeah.
on
There is
good on
no
you there.
winning in a chugging syrup contest.
Everyone's a loser.
When you win, you lose.
Good
It's like
point,
war
good point.
games. The only way is not to play.
So my question for you guys was, I mean, I think
Nice.
your.
The only way is not to play.
Oh, yeah, I'd agree with that probably. But I think the magic, you guys, is this the relationship you guys have amongst yourselves as friends. And I didn't know you guys knew each other in college even. Coming to the I'm Gonna Pee on You challenge, when you guys doubled up, I guess it sounds like initially it was from the knee down. So doubling down, does that mean from the waist down? Or?
No, just the other
know.
knee. It's
Yeah,
the
it could
first
be.
knee and then the second knee.
2
And I'm-
feet.
So,
you
so
know.
like over the years, does that mean like shoulder down or?
We're just gonna keep going to the body. you
We're
know
not
what I mean?
animals.
We're talking. Soon will be the back of the head.
Well, that's
Yeah,
what,
the
that's
back of
what
the
we're
head was
talking about.
discussed, right?
You
Yeah,
believe?
yeah.
We
Stop.
discussed back of head.
There were like camera angles.
Yeah.
You guys thought about this a
I
lot.
mean, you got to keep up in the ante.
No, in
right?
fact, and I don't know if you've seen it, but like the last few, we do 2 cameras. And so, we cover. There's the wider
Who
camera.
films it?
We do.
Well, there's a tripod
Oh, I see.
for the wide shot, and then the person doing the peeing also holds the
POV?
POV.
Yeah, POV shot. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like
of
Blair
the-
Witch style. I'm just gonna keep making movie
I
references.
was amazed to see that photograph right in the middle of our advertising campaign for this movie. I'm like, really, guys? Is that necessary?
That's who we are, bro.
I saw that. I'm like, oh, dear.
Are you guys still?
Have you not seen Super Troopers 2? Are you, is that,
Can you
not
guys
seen
still
it?
surprise each other with like grossness, or is there just you just kind of expect the worst of each other at this point? I mean, not the worst, but like the
Think of
most
us
extreme.
being too gross.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a gross. I don't think it's a gross.
No,
I don't
that's
know.
obviously gross. That peeing on someone's
Yeah,
leg.
but I mean, it doesn't surprise you, does it?
It did surprise me.
Okay.
There we go. See, so you can still surprise each other.
Okay.
You
I
surprised
was
him at least.
surprised.
Sure.
Hi guys.
Thanks for
Hi.
I was just curious. You came from like a live sketch performing background, right? And
Yeah.
have gotten back to doing some live performing and some stand up. And is there a big difference in the writing process between those, or is it kind of the same way you come up with jokes from movies to TV to live performing? Or
I mean, I have a file on my phone which is broken up into stand-up, like a novel, movie ideas, and so they kind of are the same in the sense that there's a setup and some examples of what the setup is, and then a punchline. They all kind of are like that, but with stand-up, you can really sort of, you can kind of go down a much longer road of sort of personal thought.
Right.
So like if you smoke a joint off camera,
Which is still legal
you
here.
can kind of write yourself into a, like this weird little hole. Right. And in a movie, you can't go that long. You have to kind of figure out what the setup is, hit the move along jokes and then come up with a punchline. But you can't spend 12 minutes on a topic in a movie.
Plus, you also don't have the instant feedback. Like when you're writing the movie script, you're never really going to get a chance to see how it plays until the thing is shot and edited and in front of a live audience, and then it's too late. But with live stand-up comedy, I mean, that's instant feedback.
Right.
And it's fantastic. I mean, it's really electrifying to be up there on stage trying a joke for the first time, and even if it bombs, it's still a pretty cool experience.
Right.
I think it's very different though. Like we write a movie collaboratively with 20, 30 drafts, so we all write together. Where stand-up, everyone writes individually.
Oh, I see. Right. Interesting. All right.
This
Thank
Queen for a Day IPA is really good, by the way.
I agree.
Hello.
Very tasty.
You just made their day. We're going to go quickly with this last two.
Oh, so my question's quick. So everybody here and all of us know that Super Troopers 2 is going to be amazing. Have you started thinking about the next movie, and how does the writing process work when you have such a
We're in a
big
little
group
bit of a
writers?
fight about. I want it to be named Super Troopers 3 Winter Soldiers. And these guys don't want to shoot in winter. But I'm hoping that the way the financing comes together, it'll be the winter, and they'll be like, fine.
But it's going to be like a Shakespearean drama, right?
Very heavy stuff.
No.
No?
We're going for Oscar.
We just want to, we want to mix it up, get it on ice.
Yeah.
But no, there's also been a lot of kind of people who want Beer Fest sequel, like a Pot Fest or Beer Fest 2. There's a little debate between those two.
Still trying to figure out what that would be, yeah.
I like the title I heard in the van on the way over here. Beer Fest 2, Pot Fest.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's to the point.
Yeah, that was your idea. I like that.
Yeah, it would be Pot Fest. It's like, Rambo First Blood Part 2.
Sure, or
Pot
like-
Fest, Beer Fest Part 2.
Break into Electric Boogaloo. Beer Fest 2 Pod Fest.
Yeah.
That's the title.
Pot Fest, Beer Fest Part 2, yeah.
You heard it here. All right, and our last question.
Hello.
That's not a question, Jesse.
That is true. I do have a question. When you guys, especially when you were first starting out, did you guys just write whatever was funniest, what came to mind, what you wanted to, or did you think about scope, and were you kind of trying to pay attention to where you guys were and that kind of thing?
I think we learned that it was kind of a shared experience. Jokes, like when we started writing jokes, we were at college, and so you wrote what everyone shared,
What you knew,
about
yeah.
you made fun of the teacher, or the whatever, the local cop, or the fraternity, whatever it is. You made fun of that stuff, and
Sure.
you knew. And then we moved to New York, and we learned, holy shit, we can't do that anymore. And you had to become, kind of more universal in what you thought about. So your thinking about how to write changed as your scope expanded.
Sure,
Yeah.
yeah.
And now we make movies that we want everyone to like, so we have to think about on a grander scale, what people are going to find funny across the board.
I think the other thing is that all the good, the best comedies have chosen a tone, right? And there's the biggest joke in the movie and the smallest joke in the movie, and the rest of the jokes fit in between. And so we're very, we very much argue a lot about, does that joke fit this movie? Can we do that joke in this movie, or is it too big? So it's like, trying to land the exact tone is sort of a lot of our time.
In Super Troopers, we had the bulletproof nut cup. That was, and initially you said that doesn't fit the tone, and so we had to try to find a way that it worked.
Yeah, you have to make it work in a real way.
That you
And
can
the real
believe
way
it.
was, I am such a good shot that I could hit him in the nuts confidently, and I did.
Yeah. Good shot.
Thank you.
Thanks, guy.
But there's also no rules either, I mean, it's like our first movie, Puddle Cruiser, if you look at that movie, every scene is like 5 minutes of bullshit banter between us, and then at the end of the scene, somebody comes in and it's like, oh, we got to go to the pizzeria now. And then you move on to the next scene. And it's like, that's no way to make a movie. And so we learned from that and made Super Troopers, which was very much to the point. But then Judd Apatow came out and he started doing that first thing again with like bullshit and then like 10 minutes of bullshit, and then they get to the point.
Hey,
so,
we gotta go get that pizza.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we put a healthy mix of that into Super Troopers too. Some bullshit and some.
Yeah, there's a lot of bullshit in Super Troopers too.
Which we are all looking forward to.
Good.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, guys.
So, very last question. First thing that comes to mind, what would you like to be remembered for?
Oh boy. Is that a different question than what will you be remembered for?
Yes. What would you like to be remembered for?
Because I'm going to be remembered for being naked with powdered sugar on me.
Yeah.
There's no way around it now. And
With that tuna can just
Yeah.
swaying in the wind.
that's right. There's nothing I can do about it. That's what it's going to be.
I'll
wider,
be.
wider than it is long.
Mine will be for bestiality, having sex with a bear.
That's what you want to be remembered
No,
for?
I think I will be. Why not? Sure.
All right. Just
Okay.
embrace it.
Sure.
You guys have embraced it.
I want to be remembered for being a proponent of mustache rides.
You're pro mustache ride? Is that what you're saying?
I think so.
Okay.
I guess I want to be remembered for being shot in the dick, I think.
And with that, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, guys.
Super Troopers 2.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
420.
Thank you.